And now we will begin the 22nd Korea-China-Japan local governments meeting. Hello, everyone. My name is Sewon Park, the MC of today's event, the 22nd Korea-China-Japan local governments meeting. We have held this meeting from 1999, and we have continued this local governments meeting every year for active discussion and exchange between local governments. Today we're going to discuss the local government's efforts to lead the post-COVID era, which is a very timely issue. For the next 2 days, starting from today, we're going to have today the opening ceremony, keynote address, and presentations discussion, and also an introduction of the next venue. And starting from tomorrow, we will have closed video conferences with one-to-one exchange between local governments of Korea, China, and Japan. Today, the event is being held on and offline at the same time, and we are providing simultaneous interpretation in Korean, Japanese, Chinese, and English. And now we will begin with the opening speech of the President of GAOK. And I would like to invite Mr. Ha-Jin-song, President of GAOK, for the opening speech. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Welcome to the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Conference. I am Ha Jin-song, President of GAOK and Governor of Jeollabuk-do. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, we are able to hold the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Conference thanks to the unwavering support and cooperation of President Lin Chung-ten of CPAFFC from China and Chairperson Tamotsu Okamoto of CLAIR from Japan. I also want to deeply thank the Korean, Chinese, and Japanese local government representatives who are participating today as speakers and panelists, and to all the organizers for their efforts. Since the first Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Conference was held in 1999, we have gathered in one place every year to strengthen local exchanges and development. But we couldn't avoid being affected by COVID-19. Therefore, after many discussions, we decided not to hold the conference last year. However, for the last 20 years, we have developed this venue for exchange among Korea, China, Japan local governments, and under the notion that we cannot give up now, this year we have invited you to this conference, held both online and offline. COVID-19 has closed our borders and prevented our free travel, but paradoxically increased the role of local governments. Local governments played critical roles in systematic management of COVID-19 and also promoted policies to revive the local economy ahead of the central government. Today's conference is held for us to share our experiences and wisdom as local governments as we prepare for the post-COVID era on the administrative front. Also, I hope today serves as an opportunity for us to think about the future direction and role of local governments to enhance local development and happiness of our residents. The Governors Association of Korea will continue to form solidarity with other local governments in Korea, China, and Japan to set the foundation for lasting peace and prosperity in Northeast Asia. And for this, I ask for your continued interest and support. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Song Ha-jin of GAOK. Thank you for your valuable remarks.
Next, for a congratulatory remarks, we will listen to President Lin Zhongten of the Chinese People's Association of Friendship in Foreign Countries. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. First, on behalf of the CPAFFC, I would like to congratulate you on holding the 22nd China-Japan-Korea Sister Cities Exchange Conference in Seoul, Korea. I extend greetings to the representatives of the three countries participating in the meeting and thank GAOK and CLAIR for their hard work in preparing for the conference. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for all the organizers. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. For 100 years, the Communist Party has always regarded as its original mission to seek happiness for the people. We ensured solidarity and also rapid development of the country, and also rejuvenation for the nation and progress for mankind. It has united and led the Chinese people in arduous struggles and achieved rapid economic development and social stability. It was a great miracle and the establishment of a well-off society in all aspects in the land of China, so that more than 1.4 billion Chinese people bid farewell to absolute poverty. Currently, China has made remarkable achievements in COVID control and economic and social development and has entered a new stage of development. Under new development philosophies of innovation, harmonization, eco-friendliness, openness, and sharing, we've created a new environment for development conducive to great circulation in China. And we're also making efforts to propose the direction for global development and provide new momentum. China's sustained and rapid development will make new contributions and provide new opportunities for the peace, stability, development, and prosperity of the world, especially East Asia and Asian countries. China, Japan, and South Korea are close neighbors and important partners that cannot be interdependent, that are interdependent. They share a common destiny, complement each other's advantages, and have a huge potential for cooperation. As the world's major economies and important Asian countries, the total population, economic output, and total trade volume of the three countries account for about 1/5 of the world. In 2020, the total trade volume between China, Japan, and South Korea exceeded $600 billion. Before the pandemic, personal exchanges between the three countries exceeded 30 million. The total number of sister cities between China, Japan, and Korea has exceeded 450 pairs. Facts have proved that the friendly cooperation between the three has not only brought tangible benefits to the people, but also safeguarded peace and stability in Asia and the world, and promoted global development and prosperity. Currently, due to the pandemic, we see an accelerating of change of a century and the world is in chaos. But the general trend is very clear. That is, the world's political and economic center of gravity is moving from west to east. East rising and west falling has become an irreversible trend. The 21st century is the century of Asia. Maintaining the stability and prosperity of Asia is in the common interest of all parties, and it is also the common aspiration of the three countries and the people of Asia. We are pleased to see that with the joint efforts of the three parties, the China, Japan, Korea local government meeting has continued to grow and develop, and for local governments of the three countries to exchange and learn from each other. Currently, COVID-19 is still raging around the world. There are more than 180 hits of sister cities in the three countries and about 500 people from all walks of life exploring ways to overcome the pandemic, achieve mutual cooperation, and common development. I hope all parties open their minds, gather wisdom, accelerate exchange and cooperation, and guard against instigation, separation, interference by countries outside the region. This year and next are the China-Japan Cultural and Sports Exchange Promotion Year and the China-Korea Cultural Exchange Year. Next year, we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between China and Japan and the 30th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Korea and China. Association is committed to taking this opportunity to work with all parties in Korea and Japan to actively promote local governments of three countries to maintain peace, share friendship, seek common development, and create a new future for world peace, stability, development, and prosperity, and greater contribution. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President, for that warm remarks. This year and next year, we will see the cultural exchange year between China and Japan, and we will see more exchanges in the future. Next, we will listen to the congratulatory remarks by Mr. Okamatsu, the President of CLAIR. Good afternoon. My name is Okamoto. Honorable President Song Ha-jin of GAOK, Secretary General Jo Myung-woo, and the President Lin Sung-ten of CPAFFC, and everyone who are striving to enable exchanges between Korea, China, and Japan. I would like to congratulate you on holding the 22nd Korea, China, Japan local government meeting. The meeting was launched in 1999 and is marking its 22nd round this year. It has been making great contributions to promoting exchange and cooperation among local governments of the three countries. It had to be postponed last year due to COVID-19, unfortunately, but we are holding our very first offline and online conference this year in a hybrid format. So it is offline in Korea and online overseas. So there are a lot of people making effort for this meeting, including GAOK of Korea, to whom I would like to pay my tribute and extend my gratitude once again. The theme of this year's conference is Responses of Local Governments Leading the Post-Pandemic Era. We will have discussions on the experiences of the three countries. In Japan, we see the decrease of daily tally of confirmed cases, but your insight and experience from local governments from the three countries should be shared in order to overcome COVID-19 as soon as possible and revitalize the local economy. Our discussions will greatly contribute to policy making in the future. It is all the more meaningful to hold the event under such a difficult situation. It would be an opportunity for new exchanges and deeper exchanges that would lead to cooperation among the three countries. Before closing, I would like to wish for your happiness and hope this meeting becomes an opportunity for mutual development of local governments. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for the congratulatory speech. Last year, because of COVID-19, we were not able to hold this conference, but I think it's meaningful that we are here today, gathered for the conference once again. And now, Today, we have the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Meeting, and under the title Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Efforts to Lead the Post-COVID Era, and we have prepared a short video. I think this was a very meaningful video reminding us of the local government's customized administrative efforts. And now we have invited a special speaker who is leading the cultural exchange sector, producer of Nanta and Executive Director of Pyeongchang Olympics. Creative Director Seung Hwan-song of PMC Production is going to deliver his keynote speech under the title Post-COVID Era, The Path for Cultural Exchange Among Korea, China, Japan's Local Governments. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. So I will take off my mask because I am fully vaccinated. Thank you very much for inviting me to this meaningful conference. Local governments and central governments, all governments have been suffering from COVID-19 and are preparing many things for the with COVID-19 era. And thank you very much for inviting me as the keynote speaker. And I think this shows how people are interested much in the cultural sector. The Korean culture is very popular around the world these days. And I think this is because we have the large online digital market, and because we cannot really meet in person because of COVID-19, I think we are receiving much popularity and advantage from the online market. All over the world, we hear the BTS music. and many people around the world are watching the Squid Game, which is a Korean drama on Netflix. So we could not imagine this kind of result, to have this much popularity with a Korean drama, but this is the reality today. Many people ask me this question: since when was Korean culture so popular? I don't think this happened in a day. We have a very long history of culture in Korea. When we were in school, we saw the 고구려 dancer picture, which were on the ancient caves of Korea. If you're a Korean, you probably have seen this in the textbook, and that shows the women of 고구려 wearing the same 고구려 clothes and dancing. We have about 4 to 5 women dancing, and so we had an idol group from that time. So you can see that we have this idol group in our ancient times, and then next to that you have a picture of people shooting arrows. So this now led to our achievements in the Olympics. So this kind of culture was already in our DNA from the ancient times of Korea. And the feature of entertainment, the characteristic of entertainment in Koreans, I think, was suppressed during our history. In Joseon, we were suppressed, and also we had the Japanese colonial era. So we really had a lot of potential and capability in terms of entertainment, but we weren't able to show that because of the suppression in history. I have started the Nanta production, which also went to the Broadway stages, and also I prepared the opening and closing ceremonies for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. And at the time, a poet told me that for a long time, he thought that the Korean spirit is the long sadness, long sorrow that we have in us. So we had many sorrowful events in our history. So he told me that he thought that sorrow was the deep spirit that we had inside of us. But with the 2002 World Cup, he saw that the young people of Korea, all wearing red clothes, coming out to the streets and cheering for our soccer teams. So he told me that he felt at the time that our spirit is changing from sorrow to excitement. So in 2002, we were in the top 4 teams, and all of our young people came out to the streets and cheered all night long. We had the whole city was full of excitement in 2002. And I think that was a time where our entertainment characteristic entertainment spirit was revived. When I began the production of Nanta, at the time there was a Korean idol group named HOT, and they had a performance in Beijing. And then a Korean drama, the Winter Sonata, was very popular in Japan at the time. So with the 2002 World Cup, our pop culture now spread out to the other parts of the world. And for the last 2 decades, it spread out into the world little by little, and now the K-drama and BTS is receiving so much attention and popularity. So one of the performances that I've made was called Nanta, and the first production was in 1997. When I made this performance, I didn't really think about reaching out into other parts of the world, but I wanted to have a profitable performance because a lot of performances and cultural content at the time had difficulty in reaping profits. So I focused on that. And in the 1990s of Korea, it was very difficult to reap profits through culture. So I also am an actor, and when I tell them I'm going to be in this performance, then my friends come to me asking for invitation tickets. So a lot of people didn't really have the notion that they need to pay and buy the tickets at the time. At the time, our cultural infrastructure was very weak, and it was a difficult time for us on many fronts. So at the time, I was thinking how we can reap profits through performances. And one of the solutions that came to my mind was to reach out to the rest of the world. In Korea, we only have a few cities for the performances, and a lot of people don't buy the tickets. So we can go to Seoul, Daejeon, Daegu, Busan, and then we can reach out to New York, to London, to Paris, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to reap profits. And at the time, I did feel that we have a lot of barrier for making this kind of performance, and one of them was a language barrier. So if we have a performance in Korean, if we go to China, to Europe, who's going to understand this performance? So it's different from having a video or movie. We have to deliver the story. So it's not easy to have a Korean performance be popular in the United States because of the language barrier. So I decided to have a nonverbal performance, so using the gestures and the facial expressions, and also using the traditional 사물놀이, which is a traditional musical performance in Korea. In order to reach out to the global market, we needed to use a unique feature or characteristic of Korea, but we could not reap success with just that alone. When you hear Turkish music or look at a traditional Indian dance, then it looks special, but that's it, really. In order to sell the content, you need to have uniqueness, and you also have to have a general feature that can appeal to the rest of the world. So it has to be entertaining. It has to be entertaining not just for the Korean people, but for the people of Europe, for the people of France, and to the people of Japan. So I decided to set the stage as a kitchen, because we all have kitchens in all countries. And the characters would be the chefs, because we have chefs all over the world. So the story was delivered with chefs in the kitchen, and it was developed as a non-verbal performance called Nanta. And after I produced this performance, it wasn't easy to expand to the global market. It was first performed on stage in 1997. I filmed it, and I reached out to many global agents. And at the time, I met a producer who was very famous in London, and I showed him Nanta, and I told him that everybody could understand this story. And then it also has the traditional, unique features of Korean. So I explained it, and I showed him. So he didn't really get the chance to see the performance in person, but I showed him the video of it. But at the time, this London producer looked at the video and told me, and he asked me if we have theaters in Korea. So at the time, I felt like I was an Indian in Africa. So he didn't know anything about Korean culture. And to sell him Korean culture when he knows nothing about it, it was very difficult. So I came back without any achievement. I could not sell this content. And I thought, without experience, we need to have someone, a global agent, who can help me sell these contents. So I contacted a company named Broadway Asia. In 1990s, we had Broadway musicals coming into Korea for performances. So I sent them an email and I told them it's good to bring in Broadway musicals to Korea, but what about doing it and the other way around, sending the Korean content to Broadway? And I exchanged a few emails with him, and he refused at first, but I told him to come to Korea to watch the performance and that I will provide everything for his stay. And then he told me that he has a business trip to Tokyo, so he will come to Seoul to see the performance. So actually, it was a she. She came to Korea in 1998. And then she watched the performance and she told me that she sees potential. But she said, people don't really know about the Korean culture or Korean culture. So she suggested that we participate in a global festival to raise awareness about the Korean culture. And if that's a success, she said she will distribute it, this content to other countries in the world. So that's how we decided to participate in a global festival called the Edinburgh Festival. The Edinburgh Festival was a small performance festival that was made right after the Second World War in Scotland. So we have a lot of officials from local governments here. The population of the city is very small. And the small performance festival began in this area, and then it gained popularity over the years. And in 1999, it was the 51st Edinburgh Festival. And then 1,280 performances were held in the Edinburgh Festival. They don't really have many theaters, but all over the world, people come to this area to have more than 1,000 performances. So for the 1 month, there are continuous performances. And when I went there, I saw that all the schools and all the auditoriums of enterprises, churches, were all changed to temporary performance theaters. So in these performance theaters, if you have room for 50, 100, 200 audiences, then you would have a performance. So for that 1 month during the Edinburgh Festival, they would have performances all over the city. It was very difficult for us to participate in the festival as well. So we weren't reaping any profits. We were introducing our performance to overseas audiences. So we had a lot of payments to make, and we had to invest our capital. So there is a lot of cost that goes in there regarding the accommodation and the travel expenses, and also the payments made for the performance. So my partner prepared some money at the time. We had a lot of difficulty with the shortage of budget, so we asked the Ministry of Culture for their support, but it was difficult to get support because they didn't understand what Edinburgh Festival was, and they didn't understand why we need to put in so much money to participate in the festival. So there was a friend of mine who watched the Nanta performance and told me that this is going to be successful. So I went to that friend. I borrowed some money. So he put a mortgage on his house actually to lend me the money. The money was 100 million won at the time, and he told me, he held my hand, and he told me not to tell his wife. So I borrowed 100 million won from my friend without his wife knowing, and then we went to the Edinburgh Festival. So for the first time, we had the Nanta performance in front of foreigners, and it was a huge success. So we received a lot of compliments from the foreign audiences that it was one of the best performances in the Edinburgh Festival. And so our global agent decided to distribute our performance all over the world. And back in Korea, we now established a Nanta theater. So every year, a lot of people come to Korea for travel, and we thought that having Nanta performance for these foreign visitors would be very good. Therefore, now we have one in Myeongdong in Hongik University, and also in Jeju, and also in Bangkok and Guangzhou of China. And these 5 theaters for Nanta has shut down because of COVID-19. It's very difficult for us as well. So now, in early December, we're going to open the doors of the Myeongdong Nanta Theater. And for Nanta, I do have a lot of concerns because most of the audience for Nanta performance was foreign visitors, but we don't have many foreign visitors yet. However, we have shut down the performance for so long, so we're going to reopen the Nanta performance in early December. And I also hope that Chinese and Japanese visitors can soon now come back to Korea to share our performance. So we have entered Broadway, and we have had performances in about 60 different countries. So in large cities, I think we almost had the Nanta performance in all of the large cities of the world. And now I have prepared a short video.
wonderful. It was very good, very funny, very exciting. You know,
That was great. We had a really good time. Good time.
We first produced Nanta in 1997 and went to the Edinburgh Festival in 1999. And then to enter Broadway, we have prepared for 4 years, and in 2003 we had the first Broadway performance. So at first we put the performance on Broadway on the 42nd Street, and then for the next 1.5 years we had the Nanta performance. And I think this was the beginning of the Korean wave. And we feel very proud that it was part of the Korean wave. And because of this experience of producing Nanta, I was able to participate as the executive director for the opening and closing ceremonies of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. When I was requested this at first, I did have a lot of concern that if something went wrong, then I would have to be responsible for all the results. So it was actually a big burden. But I went to a lot of different countries with Nanta around the world, and I knew that we had a lot of advantages in Korean culture, and it was very meaningful to share that with global citizens around the world. So I decided to take the job. So as the executive director of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, what was the most difficult for me was that it was difficult to have the Olympics with the three countries. So there's the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, and then the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, and then now we have the Beijing Olympics. So these Korea, China, and Japan, the three countries, are having Olympics in 2 years of intervals. So that actually was a concern and that was burdensome for me. And when we think of Asia, actually, a lot of people think about the Chinese culture and China. The Chinese culture is spread out into the world in 1960s and 70s. Japan had much development, and the Japanese culture is also spread out into the world. However, for Korea, it is only recent that the Korean culture is being known and spread out to the rest of the world. Therefore, in that situation, when many people think of China and Japan, when they think of Asia, I needed to show something, a special, unique characteristic of Korean culture through our Olympics. Many artists and many experts had discussions and meetings, and we put in a lot of time in selecting the concept. So the subject that we came up with, we got the hint from the construction culture of Korea, Japan, and China. When we think of construction in China, we have the wall, the long wall, and a lot of different constructions, the large constructions that actually are very large and with nature. And also for Japan, they have very beautiful gardens. Some of them are quite synthetic, but it is a smaller form, a shorter form of nature in harmony with people. And what about the Korean construction? We have lots of temples, and I believe that the Pyeongsan Sewon is the representing construction of Korea. It's not as big as the ones that we have in China, and it's not as detailed as the ones we have in Japan, but it is very beautifully harmonized with the nature around it. So it actually shows us that we don't even need to form a garden. We have the traditional construction features that are harmonized with nature, the landscapes, and the little details of the construction. We have 4 different seasons that harmonize with the construction as well. So the nature in front and back of the constructions are just natural gardens, and we don't really have to form gardens. And our traditional culture is that harmonization with nature. And also there is the pottery culture of China and Japan, and we also have pottery in Korea as well. In Japan, a lot of people say that they have treasures, the Korean potteries as treasures in their homes. And that is a very plain pottery. And why are Japanese people thinking of this as treasures in their homes? And this is because this is something that cannot be made with the manual culture of Japan. So in Japan, they have a very good process, a manual for everything. However, this bowl that is just made with a free form is something that is rather unique in Japan. So it's different every time you make it. So in Korea, these free-formed potteries, these are things that you cannot see in China or Japan. In other words, it's harmonized with nature. Then what is the characteristic of the modern culture? It's convergence and fusion. How do you think K-pop is so popular around the world? And I think that started from Gangnam Style of Psy. Gangnam Style, does it have a special melody, a special wording, special lyrics? Actually, it had a special dance. And that dance was a shoulder dance, a very traditional Korean feeling dance. So it was a convergence of that traditional Korean feeling and music. And also for our Nanta performance, it was a convergence of the Korean traditional rhythms and a modern story. And also, we were affected by the Japanese culture because of the colonization era. And afterwards, we were affected with the U.S. culture. However, we are not dependent to a certain country's culture. Those advantages, the advantages from these different cultures are converged with the Korean culture. And this active convergence, I think, is what led to the Korean wave today. And the concept for the Olympic, therefore, was harmony and convergence, or fusion. Our traditional value, harmony, was put together with our characteristic of modern culture of convergence. And when we think about the Korean culture, people talk about passion a lot. Passion was a driving force behind the miracle of the Han River. And we are very passionate about a lot of things. And also peace is the key message of the Olympics. And we have a very grave desire for peace because we are the only divided nation in the world. However, peace, I believe that we needed to add some details to peace. not just say peace in an abstract form. So I wanted to make the concept a peace in motion, so that we should not stop at words of pursuing peace, but really put this to action to pursue peace altogether. And at the last minute, North Korea decided that they will participate in the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, and then we had a unified ice hockey team. And this peace in motion was really shown through the Olympics, and that was very significant for me. So harmony and fusion, the words are really good. The concept is good, but we needed to show this through a performance in the opening and closing ceremony. These ceremonies are quite short, and it is an opportunity for us to show the Korean history and culture. So everyone watches this through TV. So we needed to show a performance. The ground is the stage, and we needed to show harmony. And there was something for us that we can show harmony, and that's the national flag of Korea called Taegukgi. So in our national flag, we have the harmony of the heavens, the harmony of yin and yang, and the harmony is in there in the national flag in all the details. So we wanted to show the spirit of harmony, and this was the first part of the performance. After this scene was shown in the opening ceremony, there were a lot of responses in the internet, and one of them said, so we don't know how old these netizens are, but from the US, someone said this remark: what relation does Pepsi Coke have with Korea? So not everyone in the world knows about the Korean culture and our national flag, but for all of the medals, they have seen the Korean flag, and they probably learned that it was the national flag later on. In the closing ceremonies, we wanted to show fusion and convergence. So the convergence of the East and the West, the music, the dances, and our traditional culture with the modern culture. With the Four Seasons from Vivaldi, we used our traditional instruments, kalmungo, and also a performance with kalmungo and guitar, and also the Korean traditional dance and convergence of that. It was very difficult, the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. First of all, we had very low budget. The Beijing Olympics, they put in about 600 billion, and we only had about 1/10 of that budget for the Winter Olympics. So it was reported in the media that we used about 100 to 200 billion won, but we only had about half of that budget. And the weather was very cold, and we also had constant snow, and we had to prepare this outside. So it was very difficult for all the organizers and the staff members. And I think we were able to do this because we had help from heaven. For the 45 days of preparing, we had a lot of snow, wind, and very bad weather. But we had 2 good days, and that was the day for the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony. So it was the Olympics helped by heaven. And at the time, I felt that heaven is still watching over Korea. And regarding the expression of Korean history, we formed this into 3 parts: the ancient and modern times and the future. And in the ancient times, we have a lot of different factors, but we were not able to express all of it. We just placed focus on the ancient 고구려 nation, and I told you that we have dancers. So in the end, you can see the lights going up to the sky, forming constellations. And this is the 천상열차 분야지도, which is an ancient astronomical map. And many people wondered how we made these constellations on the sky. In the stadium, we could not see any stars. We used AR to show this to the viewers through television. So as the executive director, the most important target for me was the TV audience. At the time, on site, we had a lot of VIPs and 30,000 people, participants on site. But for me, the 500 million people watching TV was more important. So this was a special effect for the TV viewers.
So I've almost run out of time, so as for modern times and future, I think I need to just briefly touch upon that. And one of the challenges as executive director was this drone that created the Olympic rings. So with 1,218 drones, we created this Olympic ring, and there was a secret. It used to be a secret, but now it's been 4 years. Actually, we used 1,300 drones, but 82 of them fell from the sky. So officially, it was tallied that we used 1,218 drones, and it was on the Guinness Book. It was the first time the Olympics saw the use of drones. So despite a lot of difficulties, around 3,000 staff members worked with me and gained great feedback from around the world. Soon we will see the opening of the Beijing Winter Olympics, and of course, with a lot of budget and manpower, we would see grandeur in the opening ceremony. And culture is all the rage around the world, but I think Asian culture is now able to create better contents than Western culture, and to this end we need cooperation between the three countries. If the artists of the three countries cooperate, I believe that we can create better contents. And we also have the play festival that has been suspended due to COVID-19, but taking this event as an opportunity, I hope we can see the resumption of such events. And my advice to the local government is that at local governments, there are so many sources of great contents. The cultural background and the cultural contents that you have are pearls that are hidden under the mudflat. You all have them in your regions. If you just find the experienced expert with know-how, well, they are always in Seoul. If you can cooperate with those artists and creative directors, your cultural contents will be able to be translated into global contents, just like Nanta and the opening ceremony of the Pyeongchang Olympics. With the rise of the brand value made in Korea, when Korea exports goods and services, we see a premium now. And just like that, local governments can achieve that as well. Your local contents, cultural heritage will revitalize the economy as well and add value. That's why I titled my presentation as Culture as Competitiveness. But in fact, when I get requests to collaborate with local governments, it's quite difficult, starting off with institution and budget limitations. It's not an environment that's conducive to great results. So if you want great artists with experience and know-how, you need to come to Seoul because they are all concentrated here. And of course, you will find talents in local areas. You can encourage cooperation among them to create global level contents. You need the budget and attitude at the same time. Thank you for listening to my presentation today, and I wish for the success of the event. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Song. The opening ceremony of the Pyeongchang Olympics touches my heart, moves my heart. Thank you, Mr. Song, for that great presentation. And I hope it was a great opportunity for you to think about how to utilize your local resources to create content in the future. With this, we will close the first session with a keynote speech and move on to the next session. But before that, until 3:30, we will take a short break. In the second session, we will listen to various presentations. Thank you.
And now we will resume with the presentations. The Korea-China-Japan local government's efforts to lead the post-COVID era is our subject today. And we're going to talk about ways to revitalize our local economy and to develop response systems for disease control led by local governments. We will have 6 presentations, 10 minutes each, and also the speakers from China and Japan will be connected by Zoom. Now moving on to the first presentation, we will begin with the presentation from Mayor of Saga, Mr. Yamaguchi Yoshinori, on efforts of open-air Saga Prefecture. We will meet Mr. Yamaguchi Yoshinori online. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yamaguchi Yoshinori. I am Mayor of Saga Prefecture. Thank you for this opportunity. Due to COVID-19, it was difficult for Korea, China, and Japan to have many exchanges, and it is very significant that we are having the local governments meeting today. Thank you for the organization of the meeting. Today, I'm going to share with you the efforts of open air in the Saga Prefecture. And now, take a look at this picture. If you look at the picture on the left, this is a picture from 150 years ago. We had an infectious disease in Japan at the time. And you can see a picture of a person, a governor, giving vaccination to a child. So the Saga domain is very famous for distributing modern vaccine to all regions of Japan. Also, we have prepared Project M to proactively respond against the COVID-19. We have differentiated the patients depending on the severity of their symptoms and have connected this to the medical treatment so that we can have emergency medicine specialists and earlier treatments. In Saga Prefecture, we also have 3 different peaks in the number of confirmed cases, and each time we were able to suppress the rapid spread of the infectious disease. And this is because we had good cooperation between the local government and the central government. The prefectures played a very important role in knowing the characteristic and features of their prefectures. In Saga Prefecture, we had 7 islands as well. In these islands, we have a population of about 300, so very small islands. So we didn't really place priority on the number of population, but we wanted to give vaccination to all of the residents. So we used emergency helicopters and the doctors went to each island to give the vaccinations. And we also had different efforts called Open Air Saga. And to explain the first case, first we had the Saga Night Terrace Challenge. So this was a challenge where we used the sidewalk. Actually, sidewalks are there for pedestrians to walk. However, because it's not safe inside the restaurants, we wanted to have people outside the restaurants. So we requested the restaurant owners to bring out the tables to the sidewalks so that people can eat on the sidewalks outside. So this was actually a very different point of view because beforehand, before COVID-19, this was not allowed by the police. And then next, we had the Hadomisaki camping site renovation. You can see the pictures of how we did the renovations. And we put in a lot of efforts in the design. So you can also see the sunset deck. So it was a new level of camping site. And we had increase of users by about 5 times than before. Because of COVID-19, a lot of people like to do camping. And this is another camping site. It was a very old camping site, so we renovated this and we developed an area called Forest Adventure. Companies have participated in this project. We have developed zip lines, and also people were able to ride mountain bikes in the forest. So it was an area where people can really enjoy the adventures. It's also very close to the expressway IC, which is an advantage for visitors. So here in the picture you can see me. And you can see the beautiful landscape of Saga and the activities that we can have in nature. We had about 10,000 visitors just in 6 months of opening, and it was very popular. To explain the fourth case, we had the Yoshinogari Historical Park. So this historic village site existed from 2,000 years ago. And next to this facility, we have a very large field, which is operated by the prefecture government. So people visit the cultural heritages, and in COVID-19, having this wide spread of land field is actually very popular for families and children. A lot of families and children came here. We also gave out invitation tickets so that people can enjoy outdoor activities, open air. And we had another activity under collaboration with Snow Peak, which is a very famous outdoor brand in Japan. And we had much comprehensive collaborations this way. Because of COVID-19, many people wanted to do outdoor activities, and we were meeting that desire. And now to move on to the next case. So the tourism industry is suffering from COVID-19. So at this time, we have a very beautiful hot spring called Yoshino Hot Spring. And the biggest motel in this region is the Yoshino Hot Spring Motel. And here we brought in corporations to make renovations to make satellite offices. So it was an area used for work and vacation combined, so we call this workation. So people can work in these offices and then they can also relax in the hot springs. Amidst the COVID-19 situation, it was a radical change, but a unique and popular spot for people. So this happens not only in Tokyo, but in different areas. So these are some of the projects that we had in Saga Prefecture, but we have a very wide sky in Saga Prefecture. We have beautiful natural resources, and because of COVID-19, we can see people working and raising children and spending their time in different areas, and I think people can use the advantage of open air Saga. This is the location of Saga Prefecture. So compared to Tokyo, we are closer to Seoul and Shanghai. So as we go into the age of Asia, Saga Prefecture is going to become a hub that connects Korea, China, and Japan. It's going to act as the entrance of Japan. So we also have direct flights to different cities in Korea and China, and also to Taipei. And I hope that many people can visit Saga in the future. So I would like to invite all of you to Saga Prefecture. We can enjoy a lot of different things, not just the nature and cultural heritages, but it is also the original site for animation. So you can see a lot of beautiful nature and cosmetic products made of these natural ingredients as well. So we ask for your continued interest and your visit to Saga Prefecture in the future. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity of presentation. Korea, China, and Japan. I hope all of you can come to Saga, not online but offline. Thank you very much. Let's give him a big hand. Thank you very much.
So COVID can be quite depressing, but the city has been utilizing outdoor activities to revitalize the people's lives. Next, we will listen to the presentation by Mr. Zhou Naishang, who will talk about the situation in Shandong, China. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great delight to meet all of you through online Korea, China, Japan local governments meeting. On behalf of the Shandong Provincial Committee of the Communist Party of China, the Shandong Provincial Government, and Mr. Liu Jiyai, the Secretary of the Shandong Provincial Committee, I sincerely congratulate the opening of this meeting. I also thank all colleagues in diverse fields who have encouraged the development of Shandong with great interest for a long time. Shandong has a large population, rich culture, ample resources, and an advanced economy along the east coast of China. The census register in Shandong exceeds 100 million people and is the only province with that population in China. In terms of culture, Shandong embraces Mount Tai and the Yellow River. Shandong is widely known for one great mountain, one great waterway, one great person, as it's the hometown of Confucius. As for resources, the land area of Shandong is 158,100 square kilometers. Its coastal area is 159,500 square kilometers, and the coastal line is 3,345 kilometers long. 148 kinds of mines can be found in Shandong. Crops including barley, fruits, and vegetables are top-ranked in China. In terms of economy, Shandong ranks third in China with an economic value of 7,300 billion yuan last year. The total market exceeds 12.8 million households. For meeting the requests from President Xi Jinping on Shandong this year, Shandong has been endeavoring for economic operations while pursuing preventive measures against COVID, development of economy and society, stability, and qualitative advancement. As a result, the GRDP of Shandong has already increased in the third quarter compared to last year. Exports and imports have risen by 36.8%. Foreign investment increased by 50.8% over the same quarter year on year. As the development of Shandong is progressing favorably, Shandong can build a strong basis and good conditions for our cooperation. Shandong is geographically close to Korea and Japan and shares a humanistic consensus with those countries. Furthermore, Shandong feels proud of its tremendous achievements brought about by friendly cooperation and a long exchange history. The sister city and friendly agreements between Shandong and Korea or Japan reaches 157 cases, and about 6,000 Korean and Japanese enterprises have been operating in Shandong. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Shandong has provided reliable friendship while overcoming difficulties and endeavors for joint prevention of COVID through mutual support with sister cities and friendly cities. The persistent pandemic presents both challenges and opportunities for exchange in this region. Next year is the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations with Japan and the 30th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations with Korea. I wish for practical cooperation among the three countries to advance, making the best use of the opportunities for cooperation while coping with challenges, using this event to build momentum. Shandong would like to propose the expansion of cooperation in important industry, bilateral investment, and trade using RCEP agreement as the framework to expand the driving force for cooperation. Furthermore, Shandong expects to implement a safe and reliable industry and supply network and quickly build closer trade partnerships. Shandong will deploy its unique characteristic in Eurasia to the west and Korea and Japan to the east in a new environment called mutual cooperation. Furthermore, to intensify harbor or port cooperation in East Asia, Shandong proposes to improve quality and efficiency in economic development and trade in the region by building the RFS road feeder system to be used in Shandong, Korea, and Japan. Implementing the trade and logistics service system, focusing on the best service, best efficiency, and the lowest cost, will strengthen the port cooperation in East Asia. Shandong will explore new possibilities for eco-friendly and net zero cooperation and promote the harmony between technology, innovation, and industrial development. Furthermore, we hope to create and enjoy a clean and beautiful environment by utilizing the technologies including CCS and environmental purification, and promote the qualitative development of a clean energy industry, including the utilization of offshore wind power, PV power, and hydrogen energy. We want to enhance the cooperation in all aspects, including education, human resources, culture, medicine, health, and youth issues, and expand the mutual understanding and exchange in the private sector through regular exchange activities among sister cities, online and offline, as well as substantiating the cooperation among sister cities. This meeting is an important platform to expand cooperation and deepen exchange. I strongly believe that the cooperation among sister cities in these three countries will advance into a new chapter through the efforts of all, and friendly cooperation among Korea, China, and Japan will be newly vitalized. Finally, I wish for great success of this meeting. I wish also for good health and success for all of the participants. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhou Naisheng, for that great video. He emphasized the local areas of Korea, Japan, and China being very close and has great potential for cooperation.
And next, we have a presentation from Daegu Metropolitan City. We will invite Vice Mayor Hong Ho-tae on overcoming COVID-19 in Daegu. Hello, everyone. My name is Hong Ho-tae. I'm the Administrative Vice Mayor of Daegu Metropolitan City. Despite the difficult situation of COVID-19, we are gathered here to develop our three-party network and to discuss practical ways for exchange and cooperation. So I would like to thank everyone, the organizers and Secretary General Myung-woo Cho of GAOK for preparing the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Governments Conference. Daegu City has a population of 2.5 million and is located in the southeastern part of Korea. We are the city of origin for the global enterprise Samsung, as well as the hometown of V and Sugar for BTS. Before COVID-19, we had direct flights. We had 26 routes to 9 countries around the world, including China, Japan, and Thailand. But regrettably, we're not able to have these kind of exchanges. I hope that we can fast overcome the COVID-19 and to have various and active exchanges once again. Today, I would like to introduce the COVID-19 outbreak in Daegu and how we responded to COVID-19 and how we should step forward in the future. Last year, from February to April, we had a total number of 6,852 confirmed cases of COVID-19, which took up 63.6% of all confirmed cases in Korea. But as of October 15th this year, we have 4.8% of all confirmed cases in Korea, which is implying that we have stable maintenance of low numbers of confirmed cases. We are preparing for the with Corona era and also preparing new social distancing levels as well. With the first patient in February 18th, 2020, we had a difficult situation. We swiftly initiated the emergency response headquarters and introduced the world's first drive-through testing sites and community treatment centers. And the citizens of Daegu took lead to fight against COVID-19. And I would like to show you a short video clip of our response in Daegu. 지난 2월
Our spring has been stolen by COVID-19, which has suddenly been occurred. Our daily life was changed a lot. Pleasant lives we used to enjoy were indefinitely suspended. We kept fighting with invisible pain, fear, and the virus. It was the way we've never been before. Everything was happening for the first time to us. For Daegu and for Korea. However, we have de-disinfection, the first step that we can prevent the spread of COVID-19. Daegu introduced drive-through testing booths for the first time in the world. Daegu imposed community treatment center for mild cases for the first time in Korea. Daegu also imposed 3.28 Daegu campaign, a social distancing measure, making wearing a mask mandatory in public transportation and public places, and rapid and transparent information disclosure through the Daegu COVID-19 website have been recognized by the world. Moreover, a mature sense of citizenship has helped to prevent virus dissemination the most. All these things have made Daegu's disinfection. Now it's time to prepare for getting back to the daily life we used to live. We can overcome it together by practicing de-disinfection.
I cannot explain all of our response measures and the difficult situations that we had at the time through this short video clip, but we did write new history with the efforts made in Daegu. With the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in February 2020, we have established the Disaster Safety Countermeasures headquarters. With Mayor of Daegu at the center, we have formed a team a team formed with the General Disaster Management Coordinator, Emergency Safety Measures, and also the medical and quarantine experts as well. And also our mayor conducted daily briefings every day to swiftly and accurately communicate the information to citizens in order to relieve any uncertainties and instabilities for our people. We have also disclosed our information on the Daegu City website so that we can have transparent disclosure of information. We have also sent text messages and also had telephone monitorings for our foreign patients. We have also put in effort to isolate the infected and to provide adequate medical treatments. With these efforts, we were able to prevent infections from spreading within and to other families and the community. We have also introduced the drive-through testing site. This was an innovative idea for the testing at the time. This was the world's first drive-through method, which was introduced on February 23rd, 2020, and this significantly reduced the time for testing. This creative idea helped block infections among people waiting to be tested and to protect our medical workers. Also, we have developed a treatment system according to the degree of symptoms to resolve hospital bed shortages and to prevent breakdown of our medical system. And for this, for mild case patients, we have, for the first time in the world, introduced community treatment centers. We used university dormitories and corporate training centers to isolate and treat mild symptom patients to prevent the spread of the infection. And also, citizens have voluntarily participated as the main players of disease control, and we have formed a citizen countermeasure committee. We have listened to the opinions of our people, and we are pursuing many disease control measures. We had 36 video conferences with the Citizen Countermeasure Committee, and we will continue until the end of COVID-19. Also, our central government has 5 disease control principles, but in Daegu we have 7 disease control principles. So we have the mandatory mask wearing in public transportation, and also we had a campaign so that people do not talk when eating or driving, and then that way they wear masks when they are talking. The reason that we were able to pursue these kind of policies is because we had the voluntary and mature citizenship in Daegu. Everyone in Daegu formed strong solidarity to voluntarily participate in social distancing. And that is how we are well responding to the COVID-19 situation now for longer than a year. In overcoming the COVID-19, we have received a lot of encouragement and support from our overseas sister and friendship cities, especially Chengdu of China and other enterprises and institutions from the US and Europe sent us many letters of encouragement, PPEs, and donations. We felt the value of worldwide solidarity and cooperation, and I would like to thank you using this opportunity. Our innovative efforts were now spread out into the world, and we had requests of interviews from BBC, Wall Street Journal, MyNiche, and a lot of other foreign media. And the reason that we had these interviews with the foreign media is that we wanted to share our experience to other parts of the world, to support others in their disease control measures for COVID-19, and also to express our gratitude for their efforts to help us. Daegu will continue to carefully look at all parts of our society. We will not leave anyone behind in the COVID-19 era, and with the community spirit, we will win the war against COVID-19. In the global community, for sustainable co-development, Daegu will work together with the spirit of solidarity and cooperation. And I would like to send words of encouragement and cheering to all of the world citizens who are fighting against COVID-19. The disinfection, everyone can do it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Hong Ho-che, Vice Mayor of Daegu Metropolitan City. We had the world's first drive-through test, and there were many efforts in Daegu to contain COVID-19.
Next, we will listen to the presentation by Mr. Chun Mik-ping, the head of the Liaoning province. Honorable Mr. Okamoto, the Chief Director of the Council of Local Authorities for International Relations, Honorable President Song Ha-jin of the Governors Association of Korea, and officials from individual local government and organizations. I hope all is well with you. It is my pleasure to join the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Government Exchange meeting. This online event aims at establishing the rapport with you, strengthening friendship, and promoting mutual prosperity with partnership. On behalf of the People's Government of Liaoning, I would like to congratulate you on the successful hosting of this meeting and extend my sincere appreciation for your interest and support for economic and social development of Liaoning. Korea, China, and Japan are close neighbors as well as important cooperation partners with strong economic complementarities and close connection in industry and supply chain. The Korea-China-Japan local government meeting was first held in 1999. Since then, it has robustly improved the system with mutual efforts between the three countries and expanded its influence significantly, becoming an important platform for mutual benchmarking of best practices and promoting mutual development. This event helps enhance the partnership between local governments in the three countries and contributes to the wisdom and capabilities for the region for harmony and development. President Xi Jinping iterated in the APEC summit that we are living in the era of opening and convergence that is becoming an irreversible trend. Under the circumstances, we should tear down, not build a wall, and expand opening, not isolation, and advance convergence, not decoupling. This will help advance the economic globalization with balanced and mutual prosperity towards being more open, inclusive, and beneficial to more people. His opinion presented an important direction for substantively reinforcing cooperation between Liaoning and the local governments of Korea and Japan in many areas. Liaoning is an open local government located at the center of the northeastern part of China. It has strong basis for industry, ecology, science, education, culture, and tourism. It is geographically proximate to Japan and Korea and shares many cultural similarities. It complements economically Japan and Korea in many ways and has the conditions for exchange and cooperation. And we exchange with 19 friendly cities in Japan and 11 friendly cities in Korea. Until now, there has been a lot of mutual visits between local governments, and in the area of politics, economy, culture, education, sports, and youth, we have engaged in various exchange and cooperation, reaching co-prosperity. Recently, the 13th Friendly Exchange Conference between Liaoning, Kanagawa, Gyeonggi-do Province was successfully held. This event allowed local governments from the three countries to achieve a great outcome of sharing difficult or different opinions on the subject of urban regeneration. Distinguished guests, next year, 2022 will mark the 50th anniversary of establishing the diplomatic relationship between China and Japan and the 30th anniversary for Korea and China. Liaoning looks forward to utilizing this opportunity for a great future of mutually beneficial coexistence and co-prosperity between the three countries with local governments. I believe this will require to ensure mutual development under the Belt and Road Initiative, push for exchanges and cooperation at various levels, and enhancing the cooperation for COVID control and economic recovery. For this, I would like to make 4 proposals. First, we should expand our cooperation and opening. Liaoning is the only region in northeastern China that borders with the ocean and rivers. It links the marine Silk Road that intersects with the inland Silk Road and is an important transportation hub connecting the Eurasian continent. Currently, Liaoning wants to leverage China Overseas Dual Circulation and the Belt and Road Initiative to strengthen economic cooperation among the three countries and build cooperation epicenter in Northeast Asia. Liaoning will further intensify cooperation in trade and investment with the Japanese and Korean local governments and promote the convergence of industrial chain, supply chain, and value chain, creating a virtuous cycle for Northeast Asian economy. Secondly, we need to expand cooperation for environmentally friendly development. Liaoning will spare no efforts to end pollution under President Xi's policy of eco-culture and extensively push for urban regeneration to establish the natural protection zone with Liao River National Park at its center. At the same time, we will accelerate efforts for clean energy and also create a value realization system for eco-friendly goods and also achieve the double targets of carbon neutrality and carbon emission peak. We will also strengthen cooperation for eco-friendly growth with local governments in Japan and Korea to build a greater world where every can grow in harmony. Thirdly, we must expand cooperation for digital economy. Currently, Liaoning is working to have the convergence between digital economy with the real economy. We are working to upgrade traditional local brands and also exploring local brands to create the digital and smart Liaoning. Liaoning will work with local governments in Japan and Korea in the areas such as digital, smart city, AI, big data, and blockchain to contribute to the building of a digital Silk Road. Fourth, we must expand cooperation for innovative development. Liaoning is currently pushing for innovation-driven growth strategy and is engaged in transforming our core variable of innovation of science and technology. We're also protecting intellectual property rights and actively attracting growth projects, technology companies, and talents from various sectors that will help create a new growth engine. Liaoning aspires to strengthen cooperation with local governments in Japan and Korea for science and technology, industry, and talents, and establish an innovation platform to build a new solidarity and achieve innovative product development. Distinguished guests, this year is a very special year with the 100th anniversary for the inauguration of the Chinese Communist Party. China is now in a new phase of pushing the construction of a socialist modern country in all directions. Liaoning is advancing the policies of simplified administrative procedures, improved legal system, stronger cost competitiveness, and environment-friendly residential environment to create a market-based, legal, and globalized business environment. Investment from Japan and Korea to Liaoning will always be welcome, and I look forward to sharing growth opportunities of Liaoning, pursuing exchange and cooperation among the three countries, and I hope we can move forward with each other to a new way of cooperation and co-prosperity. Thank you. Thank you very much for that great presentation from Liaoning in China. Thank you once again. So it would be the 50th anniversary for China and Japan, 30th anniversary for Korea and China. You have proposed a lot of good ideas for our development.
And now we will move on to the next presentation on Yamanashi Green Zone certification delivered by Governor of Yamanashi, Nagasaki, Mr. Nagasaki Kotaro. Hello everyone. I am Governor Nagasaki Kotaro from the Yamanashi Prefecture of Japan. Today we're having the 22nd Korea-China-Japan Local Governance Meeting under the theme Korea-China-Japan Local Government's Efforts to Lead the Post-COVID Era. It is an honor to be giving this presentation. Now moving on to our presentation, if you look at the first page of our slide, I am introducing the Yamanashi Green Zone Initiative. To fight against new viruses and also to have close and fast responses, we wanted to protect the life and economic activities of our residents. And in order to have that, we have established the Yamanashi Green Zone Initiative. We will have epidemiological researches as well as tracing of the infections. And based on the foundation of our medical system, we connected the residents with the local authority and our enterprise so that all of these activities together can provide a sense of safety and confidence all over Yamanashi Prefecture. Then what is Green Zone certification? This is the method that was the main of the Green Zone initiative. There would be the applications of Green Zone certifications, and we will have field investigations by the Yamanashi government. And then the certifications will be given with this mark, which means safety. So first of all, the certification was launched for accommodations and restaurants. Wineries and breweries were added later, and now this is expanded to fitness centers and snack bars and so on. There are 4 elements of the Yamanashi Green Zone certification. The first is that we have 30 to 50 items on the standard on the actions against infectious diseases, and all of the work places need to meet these standards. And second of all, our second element is the field investigation. So we make a field investigation on site to give them guidance and verification of the disease control measures. The third element is certification by local authority. So we are providing an official guarantee on safety and security by giving these sticker marks. And fourth element is information disclosure. So we disclose information on confirmed cases and users, and we secure the quality of the certification by conducting re-investigations depending on the user's review. So an important part of this certification is that the prefecture government is playing a big role in assuring the safety of these workplaces and our residents. Before, in the administrative policies, We simply propose people to use these facilities and to ask them to comply with these safety measures to fight against the infectious disease. However, this could not guarantee safety for our residents, and the residents needed to make choices on whether they are going to risk their safety. So in order to avoid that kind of situation, what we did is we suggested the standards, we developed the standards, and we proposed restaurants, accommodations, and workplaces to follow these standards so that the residents can have low risk and avoid infectious diseases. So the risk is actually now on the local government. And with this, the Yamanashi Green Zone certification was recognized as effective by many businesses. Now looking at the number of certified businesses, as of October 1st, we have 1,233 in accommodations and 4,446 restaurants. So if we look at the number of the accommodations and restaurants that are operating, which was surveyed about 4 years ago, this shows that almost 100% of the businesses are certified. And now looking at this graph, you can see the number of confirmed cases per 100,000 persons. Comparing to other neighboring regions in Japan, you can see that Yamanashi has the lowest number of confirmed cases. It's about 1/5 of Tokyo. Tokyo is, of course, a large city, and we are close to Tokyo. But we are successfully blocking out the infectious disease from spreading in Yamanashi. And we have many cases where people use these certified facilities. We had visitors, workers, 347 confirmed cases for visitors and workers in these certified facilities, but this did not really lead to serial infections. And then now this table is showing the number of bankruptcies that we had in Yamanashi. So compared to Tokyo or other large cities of Japan, this is about 1/10 of the bankruptcy ratio. So it was very effective on retaining economic activities. And now this is the actions against infectious diseases and certified facilities. So actually what is being implemented on site in the restaurants and these areas. We have thorough hand sterilization. We also use these blocking screens in front of the reception desk and also on the tables. And now this is actions against the variant of the virus. In late April 2021, we have confirmed that the virus variant is existing in Yamanashi. So now we have added some items to the existing standards. So the cross partition should be installed, and HEPA-mounted air purifiers shall be used in order to clean the air. So we have developed a new certification mark. If we have serial infection in a facility, then for the users who were present in that facility at the same time, we use this visitor check system to send them text messages. And such tracing is done to have early detection of other infections. And now we also have actions for inbound tourism recovery. We have posted the Green Zone certification on trip.com, which is the largest OTA in the world. So you can see the Green Zone certification marks in the list of accommodations. And this is used to attract foreign visitors. We are also implementing a project to set international standards on Green Zone. We have 3 test beds and 30 companies. We are using UV air purifiers and robot technologies for sterilization. And we are confirming what is effective. And when it is effective, we are going to add this into international standards for green zone. And when this is established, I hope you can come to the Yamanashi Prefecture. Our green zone certification system is a policy where we can revive economic activity as well as control disease and infection. So it is recognized as a good policy by our nation, and it is also spreading into other parts of our country. The fight against COVID-19 is still ongoing. However, we need to look forward into the future, and we're going to expand the green zone certification so that we can continue with economic development and disease control in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor Nagasaki Utaru, for the Yamanashi Green Zone Certification presentation.
Next, we will listen to the last presentation for today's event. We will invite Mr. Kim Myung-soo, the Vice Mayor of Daejeon, who will talk about the achievements of Undong Daejeon, the local currency of Daejeon. Good afternoon. My name is Myung-soo Kim, the Vice Mayor of Science of the Daejeon Metropolitan City of the Republic of Korea. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to Secretary General Myung-woo Cho of GAOK, who has hosted the 22nd Korea-China-Japan local governments meeting and the staff members as well as other organizers. Today, it is my great pleasure to be able to present Daejeon's policy to revitalize the local economy in the post-pandemic era. Now, let me briefly talk about the achievements of Undong Daejeon, the local currency of Daejeon, and its impact on revitalizing the local economy. The order of my presentation will be background, details, achievements, and future plan. Let me begin with the background. With the protraction of the pandemic, the world has been experiencing a crisis of economic recession. As a result, Daejeon, in order to minimize the outflow of local capital and ensure local distribution, thereby strengthening competitiveness of MSMEs and achieve early recovery of the local economy that has been contracted due to COVID-19, we first issued Undong Daejeon, Daejeon's local currency, in May last year. It is issued by the city of Daejeon and is usable only within the boundaries of Daejeon. It is a cash card type local currency where you can pay with a card and 10 to 15% of the amount will be accrued as cash mileage points that can be used just like cash. Undong Daejeon is a hybrid terminology with Korean word un, that means all, and tong, that means communication and circulation. And we also added the term Daejeon, which means large money. So it means local currency that can be circulated to all citizens of Daejeon. 7 out of 10 Daejeon citizens above the age of 14 are own Undong Daejeon, and every day, on average, 5 billion won is charged, and we see an increase of 1,000 new app users. This is a successful and leading brand of Daejeon pursuing the improvement of people's livelihood. Let me now move on to the details of Undong Daejeon. Successfully settling down Undong Daejeon, we were able to revitalize the local economy. With the launch In May last year, we gained great feedback from the citizens, and within only 16 months since launching, we achieved 2.2 trillion won of issuance. Through efforts, we secured a national budget of 150 billion won and injected local budget of 160 billion won, and have been focusing administrative capabilities for stable issuance and revitalization of local economy. We also carried out the Untong sale to recover weakened consumer sentiment and stimulate consumption with the sale festival. With a monthly threshold of 1 million won and maximum 20% cash redemption, we have 100,000 people using this and 200 billion won of monthly issuance. So this has been a staunch partner in revitalizing the economy. And we also have the donation service to strengthen the local community and also expand the culture of consideration. 5% of corporate purchase will be donated to the underprivileged as an incentive for corporate usage of Untong Daejeon. We are now partnering with around 20 businesses within the region. And thirdly, we have been refining the function of the Untong Daejeon platform in order to support SMEs to engage in online commerce and to expand online merchants. We are selling 20,000 items by building the Untong Daejeon shopping mall, that is an online shopping mall. And by expanding new contents including local startups, social and village businesses, and e-coupons, and by improving user convenience, we are expanding the functions of the Untong Daejeon Mall as a shopping mall. And we also operate the delivery platform since February this year to prevent monopoly of large private delivery apps, and delivery commission is limited to below 2% to ease burden of the MSMEs, and it is playing the role as a platform for co-prosperity. Let me now move on to the achievements. As of the end of September last year, net consumption of growth amounted to 585.5 billion won, and consumption shifted from superstores to MSMEs was 650 billion won. Consumption transferred from other areas to Daejeon was 300 billion won. Untong Daejeon has been generating 1 trillion won worth of production effect and 500 billion won worth of added value, as well as 12,000 people worth employment by stimulating production in various industries and facilitating employment. And this has led to a revenue increase of 12.6 billion won of local income tax and consumption tax, thereby increasing spending and also raising the level of sales of MSMEs in Daejeon, and it has led to revitalizing our local economy. As a result, Untong Daejeon was selected as the best policy of Daejeon in a survey to citizens in Daejeon, and it was also one of the 10 top headlines of Daejeon. Lastly, let me talk about our future plans. Due to the limited nature of local currency, we were able to transition sales away from superstores to MSMEs and also facilitated spending of the citizen through our cash redemption. We stoked news consumption, recovered the consumer sentiment contracted due to COVID-19, and played a great role in economic stimulus. By utilizing Untong Daejeon infrastructure, we will link this with citizen-oriented policy, thereby developing the features as a platform for value realization, going beyond distribution. Before closing, let me make a short comment on an event next year. The UCLG World Congress will be held in October 2022 in Daejeon. This is the largest venue for exchange among local governments around the world. The themes will be sustainable future of cities, peace building through World Cities community. We'll also develop programs related to the Peace Declaration on the Korean Peninsula, carbon neutrality, and declaration of Daejeon as a capital of science. I ask for your interest and support and your participation in UCLG World Congress in Daejeon in 2022. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation from Daejeon. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Vice Mayor from Daejeon, for that great presentation. He talked about the local currency, Untong Daejeon, and its impact in revitalizing the local economy and the local community. He also emphasized the UCLG World Congress that will be held in Daejeon in 2022.
And now we have completed the 6 presentations, and we will continue with panel discussions. And with the panel discussions, we're going to have 2 panelists from each country, Korea, China, and Japan. And the moderator will be Professor Hyung-Soo Kim, Dankook University. And for the Korean panelists, we will have the Vice Mayor of Daegu and Vice Mayor of Daejeon. And from China, we will have the Cho Wei of CPAFFC, and also from Japan we will have Nagasaki, and also for Saga Prefecture, Yamaguchi. And we are going to be talking about the Korea, China, Japan local government's efforts to lead the post-COVID era. And I would like to ask for your active participation online as well. And if you're ready, I will give the microphone to our moderator. Hello. So I will introduce the situation. So here we have China and Japan. So hello to China. And hello to Japan. And also we have the Vice Mayor of Daegu and Daejeon with me. So first, I will give introduction for the with these order of the presentations. First, we talked about the presentation on Saga Prefecture. In the presentation, we talked about the night terrace, and I think we didn't explain much on this, but there was a case where they used the emergency helicopters for support projects on a remote island. And I think that was very impressive. So I want to ask for more details on the emergency support projects using the helicopters for remote islands and night terrace. So in terms of administrative terms, this could be illegal. So are you planning to continue this after COVID-19? That's a question I want to ask you. Hello, I am from Saga Prefecture, Policy Department. Vaccination, support project, and night terrace was the key of your question. In Saga Prefecture, we are trying to have swift vaccinations, and especially for remote islands, we don't have good medical infrastructure and environment. And in order to have swift vaccination for the population on these islands, for the first time in the country, for the people who wanted to have vaccinations, we provided vaccinations last June. We used emergency helicopters, And also to prepare in case of side effects, we also located some of the helicopters on the remote islands for swift responses. Through these efforts, we have the helicopter stay on the remote island so that whenever it's needed, they can use the helicopters. And that's how we assure the vaccination of our people in the remote islands. And regarding the night terrace challenge, we had something called the sidewalk use approval. For each prefecture, the prefecture government was not giving approval to each of the restaurants one by one, but we had an overall approval in order to use the sidewalks for uses other than walking. And according to what was announced by the central government this year, in the future we will also have relief measures so that people can use sidewalks for different purposes. So up to now, the local government in Saga Prefecture was leading these activities, but now we're going to have more private sector owners lead these activities and promote these activities so that it can become a point of entertainment or something to enjoy for our residents. And this was from Saganori Yukimas of Saga Prefecture.
Next, we'll listen from Shandong. I think Shandong is well known in Korea. It is the place of the Tai Mountain and the birthplace of Confucius. But while overcoming COVID-19 in Europe, they have been focusing on the process of Eastern countries in overcoming this situation, and they emphasize that the impact of Confucius culture. So Ki Sormang was one of the people who talked about this. So I think the achievements in COVID control was quite different between East and West. So let me invite the speaker from Shandong, which is the birthplace of Confucius, to give a comment on cooperation between local government and central government, focusing on your experience. I give you 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Professor Kim. First of all, GAOK, CPAFFC, and CLAIR, and 2 other organizers, I would like to extend my gratitude for your great work in organizing this meeting. And I believe that based on this event, we will have more opportunities for cooperation in the future. So, to your question, I think I can say this. In the case of Shandong, it is the birthplace of Confucius, and it is where Confucianism was born. This is widely known around the world. However, after the pandemic broke out, Shandong followed the national disease control policy of the central government. Based on that framework, we built a COVID control mechanism or platform of Shandong. In addition, regarding COVID control and quarantine management, we follow the national control mechanism. That's why we were able to swiftly and efficiently control COVID-19. Especially for foreigners living in Shandong, we provide a lot of support for COVID control, and we enabled a 24-hour service for disease prevention and control equipment that is delivered to foreigners. And we also supported businesses to resume their production. In the initial stage of COVID-19, the case of foreigners residing in Shandong, some of them could not be protected from their national governments. As you know, in China, you need the electronic health code and your ID card. And the Chinese government recognized the difficulties of foreigners in this regard and dispatched technical staff so foreigners in Shandong could be appropriately protected from COVID-19 and could enjoy our quarantine and disease control measures.
Thank you, Mr. Chiwei. And now I have a question to Daegu metropolitan city. So it was an area you went through lockdown. It was very famous in Korea. So you probably have many episodes related to your efforts in fighting COVID-19. So could you share some of your know-how and episodes? Hello, I am the Administrative Vice Mayor of Daegu Metropolitan City. In Korea, Daegu was the first area to have the wide outbreak of COVID-19. So we had a confirmed case that came from another area, and it was connected to a certain religious facility, and then it was spread out to all parts of Daegu City. When COVID-19 outbreak happened in Daegu, we didn't have much government guideline and disease control measures. So, for example, for a patient in Korea, they need to have medical treatment in hospitals. However, because we had so many COVID-19 patients, the hospitals could not accommodate all of these people. So we had to take other measures. In Daegu City, we had to use private facilities and education and training facilities. So we made this proposal to the central government so that the patients could be treated in private facilities. Also, another innovative case that we had was for COVID-19 patients, the initial notion was that it is very dangerous to be a COVID-19 patient. So to deliver them to the hospitals or the community treatment centers, we needed to use the 119 vehicles and ambulances. So we did not have sufficient amount of vehicles to transport these people to the facilities. Therefore, we had to use buses, and this was something that was not aligned with the disease control measures pursued by the central government. So it started from Daegu City and it was spread out to the rest of the nation. Our citizens, when they were complying with the disease control measures, in Daegu, we had very strong disease control measures and guidelines, and the citizens had to suffer a lot as they complied with these principles and measures. We had a very grave situation in Daegu, but due to the cooperation and voluntary measures of our citizens, we were able to overcome these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Choi. So you are able to overcome the situation through mutual cooperation and connection. Next, let's move on to Liaoning. Liaoning is very close to Korea, and one of our themes is to revitalize the local economy. So let's listen to the experience of Liaoning that's pursuing digital Liaoning and smart Liaoning. And one of the characteristics is to globalize their traditional brand. So can Liaoning share some of the examples on how you are planning to globalize your local brands? That would be very helpful. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be able to join the Korea-China-Japan local government meeting today. So Shandong has given a presentation on COVID control. And Liaoning has engaged in various measures against COVID-19. Just like other cities, Liaoning, in order to prevent new confirmed cases and also control COVID, we have been making a lot of efforts. Let me say a few words in this regard. Under the guidance of the central government, Liaoning has been pursuing various measures. And one of them that I would like to mention is that we are known as one of the successful cities or regions in China in controlling the pandemic. And following the guidance or measures of the central government, we established COVID-related facilities and worked for its efficient operation. We also cooperated with our other provinces to strengthen control measures, and as a local government, we had the sense of responsibility to make continued efforts, especially following the central government and relevant agencies' directions. We are actively implementing relevant measures. Liaoning is adjacent to the borders, rivers, and oceans. Especially through our port, we are engaging in various logistics and shipping activities. Under the circumstances, during the process of controlling COVID-19, we needed to focus on the ports so that COVID does not flow in through these channels. In the interest of time, let me conclude my comments. And Liaoning and other Chinese provinces are making great efforts to control COVID-19, and I hope this is helpful for you in understanding our efforts. Liaoning and various local governments are following or adhering to the central government measures for COVID control. Moreover, central and local governments of China have been making various approaches to control COVID-19, and especially the local government has been following central government's guidance for COVID control. That was my introduction of Liaoning regarding COVID control. Thank you for listening.
the central government and the local government and the cooperations between the two. I think that's a hot topic for all countries. And now moving on to the next presentation, I have a question to Governor Nagasaki Kotaro of Yamanashi Prefecture. So if you look at the Fuji Mountain on the I know that this is the Fuji Mountain that is shown from the Yamanashi Prefecture. So when you looking at the presentation that you gave, you introduced the Green Zone certification system. It's a very outstanding system, I think. And you have the Green Zone mark. And on the other side, you have another mark for the facility with actions against virus variants. So there could be areas where they have the two marks, some with just the Green Zone or just the action against virus variant mark. So wouldn't that be differentiating the different workplaces and giving them advantages or disadvantages? Yes, I told you that we have a new standard and a new mark for the actions against virus variants. So for the workplaces or areas that have achieved the Green Zone certification, we suggest that they also achieve the additional mark to satisfy the additional standards, such as introduction of HEPA filter air purifiers. And we also are supporting a lot of the cost that they need to achieve this mark. So for the areas that have the new marks and the ones that have only the Green Zone mark, so if you have the new mark, then per customer, you can have longer time for these people to stay in these facilities. So with the new mark, you can stay for 2 hours. People can stay for 2 hours in the store, while if you just have the Green Zone certification mark, it's only 1 hour. So a lot of the business sites are participating in achieving the new mark, and the government is also pursuing that.
So it was new information that we couldn't hear in the presentation. I think that's a great idea. Lastly, let's listen to the comments from Daejeon. So you introduced local currency due to COVID-19 in Korea. It has been used nationwide. There's one example of Songpa currency and Yusong Hwape in Daejeon, Yusong currency in Daejeon. And I wonder what is your know-how in expanding the issuance or usage of this currency? As was mentioned in my presentation, Untong-Daejeon, our local currency, went beyond circulation in the economy and expanded the culture of consideration and sharing. And the Onjang Nanum donation service was also effective in helping children under abuse and also providing lunch boxes to the low-income class, as well as providing scholarship to the children of low-income families. At the same time, there were various subsidies or awards that were paid in cash in the past. Now, these types of subsidies are all paid in Untong-Daejeon, our local currency, to facilitate consumption within the city. In addition, by class, business, and industry and region, we are also providing cash redemption. For example, if you're above the age of 65 or disabled or a war veteran, we also provide 3% more cash redemption And we also see the difficulty of bookstores. So 10% in additional cash redemption will be given when you use your 운동대전 in bookstores. This has revitalized the local economy. And 운동대전 app is now used as the communication platform for citizens that used to be only a charging platform. So I think 운동대전 has been contributing to economic growth, and we've been gaining great feedback from our citizens. We are planning to expand this and develop this in the future for revitalization of our economy under COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the 6 presentations and we have the speaking of the 6 panelists, and we discussed the efforts of the local government in leading the post-COVID era. It is a limited situation right now. We have both online and offline today, but next year in the 23rd local government meeting, I think we can have a better offline meeting, and looking forward to that day. I would like to close the discussion with words of gratitude. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Through the panel discussion, we talked about the solutions and efforts made by the Korea, China, and Japan local governments in leading the post-COVID era. In hearing the presentations, you probably have a lot of questions. And I think our moderator asked very adequate and timely questions, and we had heard very fruitful answers. So we also learned new things about each area. We're not able to freely travel to these regions right now because of COVID-19, but I think it was an opportunity for us to learn more about these regions. Today, under the theme, Korea, China, and Japan local government's efforts to leave the post-COVID era, we are holding this meeting. This year, we are having the meeting both online and offline at the same time, but we look forward to having this meeting next year offline. We have simultaneous interpretation today, and I hope that everyone is participating well in your preferred languages. With the 22nd local governments meeting of the 3 countries, now we have the closing remarks and also another commemoration performance. Now the closing speech will be given by the Secretary General of GAOK, Mr. Myung-woo Cho, and we also have prepared a commemoration performance. And following the performance, we will be introducing the next venue for this conference. And now we will invite Mr. Myung-woo Cho for the closing remarks. Honorable Chairperson Tamatsu Okamoto of CLAIR and President Lin Shung-ten of CPAFFC, and to everyone who have participated on and offline in the 22nd Korea, China, Japan local governments meeting. Thank you for your participation. In the unprecedented challenge of COVID-19, we discussed ways for the local government to revitalize our regions. And I would like to thank everyone for the presentations and fruitful discussions. Through these presentations and discussion today, the 3 country local governments confirmed that we are moving into a new era, the living with COVID-19 era. In this era, we have various challenges in front of us, and if we can continue to share our know-hows and ideas, I'm sure that we can more efficiently overcome the difficulties. The Korea, China, Japan local governments meeting was held for the first time in 1999 in Seoul, and then was held every year in the 3 nations in a rotation base. Having Korea, China, and Japanese local governments gathered in one place to seek solutions on current issues is very meaningful and also a very rare event in terms of world history. The three countries and the local governments face many challenges, such as decreasing population, aging, and regional gaps. And now we also have global challenges like climate change and digitalization. We need to have practical solutions, and we are going toward an era where we need to strengthen solidarity and cooperation in the region. The COVID-19 pandemic gave us many barriers in terms of exchange between the local governments. But now we have overcome these barriers, and now we are having more exchanges online than offline, and we have more potential and possibilities of exchange and cooperation opportunities in the future. And that's the same for the online exchange meeting, which will be held tomorrow. We will have the Korea-Japan, Korea-China, China-Japan, and Korea-China-Japan different channels where the local officials can meet online and have active discussions on international projects in the future. The local governments of the three countries need to cooperate in geopolitical sense and also in terms of history and culture. To go further, we need to be the best of friends. GAOK, CPAFFC, and CLAIR will also cooperate closely to prepare events where the local governments of Korea, China, and Japan can come closer. The peace and prosperity of Northeast Asia is not confined to one nation. It will be something that we can achieve through exchange and cooperation between the local governments of Korea, China, and Japan. And it is something that should be sustainable. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Please give him a big round of applause, everyone. Our Secretary General of GAOK, Mr. Myung-Hoo Cho, shared with us the need for cooperation between Korea, China, and Japan. And tomorrow we're going to have one-to-one video conferences, which will be closed, but there will be active exchanges in the conferences tomorrow. And now, moving on to the next performance. Now we have prepared something to commemorate today's local government's meeting. And to commemorate the history of our cooperation, we have the performance of 22 students. And now we will share the performance video. Japan. Next is Korea. China.
This is Jiangxi. Have you ever imagined how beautiful she is? she has 166,900 square kilometers of land, of which 63.1% is covered by forests. She has 5 national nature reserves, 46 national forest parks, 4 World Heritage Sites, and 4 World Geological Parks, and nurtures every precious species for the Earth. Over 2,400 rivers converge to form the Poyang Lake, the largest freshwater lake in China and an important wetland in the world. About 98% of the world's white cranes inhabit in this paradise of birds. Wuyan, just like the landscape in Chinese painting, is known as one of the most beautiful villages in the world.
世界上没有比婺源更美的地方，如果有，那也是明年的婺源。
This is Jiangxi. Have you ever imagined what glories she has? The Chinese People's Liberation Army, a powerful force in maintaining regional stability and world peace, was founded here 90 years ago. This land of high mountains and dense forests is the cradle of Chinese revolution. And it has built a new spiritual dimension that enriches the 5,000-year-old civilization of China. In 1949, the People's Republic of China was founded, a significant event in the world. As early as in 1931, Mao Zedong and his comrades in arms already set up the state political power in southern Jiangxi. Nearly all present-day ministries and commissions of the People's Republic of China can trace their origins to this place. Today, this place where the Red Miracle occurred is implementing a massive and rapid revitalization program. Jinggangshan has taken the lead nationwide to shake off poverty. In the former Central Soviet area, including the southern area of Jiangxi, over 1,510,000 people have got rid of poverty in 5 years, which is of the largest scale since the founding of the People's Republic of China. This is Jiangxi. Have you ever imagined what kind of vitality she has? Building a beautiful China's Jiangxi model, one of the 3 national eco-civilization pilot zones, and China's only experimental provincial demonstration base for green organic agricultural produce. Jiangxi has taken green development as the path for her revitalization. About 12,000 years ago, it was here that human beings planted the first rice. Today, this land is not only China's important commodity grain base, but also supplying the whole world with 590 kinds of green food and 1,024 kinds of organic food. Jingdezhen is one of the first industrialized cities in the world. Before the 18th century, thousands of kilns here were busy producing porcelain, the then hardest to get merchandise in the world. Thanks to this, mankind stepped into the ocean era and was able to link the East with the West via the maritime Silk Road.
只有景德镇，陶瓷才有灵魂，因为它连接着历史与未来，联系着中国与世界。
Jiangxi is one of China's most important R&D and manufacturing bases of the aviation industry. It was here that the first airplane of New China flew into the sky. It was also here that the first helicopter of China soared into the air. C919, China's first-generation jumbo jet that attracts world attention, has 1/4 of its fuselage made in Jiangxi. Today, an international first-class aviation city is growing in Jiangxi. Jiangxi, possessing world-class mineral resources and China's top-tier special metallurgical industry, is serving over 30 countries and regions in the world. Zhangjiang Medicine Valley, through combining traditional Chinese medicine with the latest technology, has integrated the biological medicine of Jiangxi with the rest of the world. Jiangxi, adjacent to the Yangtze River Delta, the Pearl River Delta, and the economic zone on the west side of the Taiwan Straits, is becoming one of the province's most active in innovative economy in China. The new generation of information and communication technology, new energy, new materials, and intelligent manufacturing are forming scaled clusters. A global partnership project is being carried out in the LED industry. Jiangxi, deeply engaged in the development of the Belt and Road, is ever enlarging her own circle of international friends. The business cards of Jiangxi, such as the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, the Sino-Kazakhstan Gangjiang Industrial Park, the Malaysian Agro-Industrial Park for Huamei foodstuffs, and the new energy vehicles running in North America, are receiving thumbs up from countries around the world. Over 200 countries and regions in the world have become cooperative partners with Jiangxi to seek common development. There is only one point in time that counts. That is, right now. A beautiful and dynamic Jiangxi invites you now.
各位嘉宾、女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家好！很高兴在美丽的
Honorable distinguished guests, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to meet with you, at least online, in this beautiful autumn weather. First, let me thank GAOK, the Governors Association of Korea, Chinese People's Association of Friendship with Foreign Countries, and Council of Local Authorities for International Relations for your efforts in organizing this meeting. Korea, China, and Japan are close neighbors, sharing similar traditions and culture, and have been leading close economic cooperation. Based on common goals, mission, and sense of responsibility, our cooperation have accelerated. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, we have been supporting each other to overcome this difficulty and demonstrated the unlimited possibility of cooperation. Just like today's theme, post-pandemic era led by local governments of Korea, China, and Japan, trilateral discussion on growth policy, and local-led disease control system, and ways to strengthen exchange and cooperation, has practical significance for the future. 具有重要的现实意义。2022年 Next year, 2022, is the 50th anniversary and 30th anniversary of building diplomatic ties between China and Japan and China and Korea respectively. And the 23rd Korea-China-Japan local government meeting will be held in Nanchang, Jiangxi. Let me take this opportunity to invite all of you to Nanchang on behalf of the Jiangxi People's Government and the citizens of Jiangxi. Jiangxi is geographically located at West China and the mid-downstream of the Yangtze River. The size is 166,900 square kilometers, and we have a population of 4.5 million. It is adjacent to the Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta that is most economically active, and it is a significant natural reserve and preservation area of the mid-downstream of Yangtze River and clean water source of the Pearl River Basin and the preservation area of water sources. President Xi Jinping said, "Jiangxi is a great place. It has beautiful nature and scenic spots. Mount Li, Mount Longho, and Mount Sanqing are famous. And people say Mount Li is the most beautiful mountain in the world, and Sanqing is the best in the world, and Longho is the greatest scenic spot." In the recent years, Jiangxi has been following the Chinese-style socialist ideology of the new era proposed by President Xi, who said Jiangxi should be a brave model. As a result, we witnessed great economic and social development in Jiangxi. In the 13th five-year plan, we posted GDP growth of 7.6% annually, and GDP exceeded 2.5 trillion yuan in 2020. We are now one of the leading regions in China in terms of economic indicators. In the first 3 quarters of this year, Jiangxi's GDP grew by 10.2%, and the growth was top in the nation. With both qualitative and quantitative development, we ushered in the 14th five-year plan without any interruption. Tea, silk, linen and cotton of Jiangxi, and porcelain of Qingdazhen have been imported or exported along the Silk Road on maritime and inland routes to the world. Currently, Jiangxi is pursuing 2 strategies of accommodation and opening. Especially, we are creating a lot of cooperation partners around the world based on the opening strategy. Especially, Jiangxi has close trade relations with Korea and Japan. In 2020, Japan and Korea's trade stood at 25.4 billion yuan and 29.5 billion yuan respectively with Jiangxi. And Japan and Korea became the 4th and 3rd largest trade partners for Jiangxi respectively. In addition, we have 9 and 11 friendly cities partnership with Japan and Korean cities that serve as the foundation for trilateral exchanges. I hope the 3 countries could reinforce exchange and cooperation in the areas of economy, culture, science and technology, tourism, and build stronger friendship by raising mutual understanding and trust among our people. Before closing, I would like to wish my success for this meeting. Next year, in Namchang, in Jiangxi, where ducks fly into the sunset and the blue sky meets the blue rivers in autumn, I hope I can see you in person. I wish for your good health and success. Thank you very much.
네, 한증현
With this great performance commemorating the meeting, we also saw a video promoting Changxi, the next venue for the next year's meeting. I think the special performance was very meaningful, and I would like to extend my gratitude to the university students for the performance, and Chang Shoping, the Vice Governor of Changxi, for the promotion and the remarks. With this, we will conclude the 22nd Korea, China, Japan local governments meeting. Once again, I would like to thank you for your participation despite your busy schedules. I would also like to extend my appreciation to all of our online participants through Zoom and YouTube. Today was a time to understand the efforts of the local governments of the three countries in the post-COVID era. We exchanged great presentations on experiences and wisdom. I wish for stronger exchange and cooperation among the three countries in the future, and extend my respect and appreciation for all the participants. With this, I would like to conclude the event, and let's meet together in Changxi next year. Thank you.